Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. We're curing sweet potatoes today. A little bit different view. We're not in the garden. We are in what is, for right now, this is basically my workshop, my honey shack, and my curing area. So I'm going to go over how I cure my sweet potatoes, why you should cure them, and then some other ways that you can do it if you don't have something like this that you can use. So here's the sweet potato harvest of 2024 on my nice decorated table. So what we've got going on here is we've got them all laid out on this table, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to try and put one of these in the list. I don't know why I haven't, but if you don't have a foldable table like this, you are missing these things are the ticket. As you can see, I use it mostly to cure and paint beehives, which is why the paint's on here. But the thing you need to do first and foremost is you need to lay out your potatoes, but just don't let them touch, right? We want to get all this airflow around it. So you may be asking yourself, well, why is it in your garage? Well, you don't want to have them in, real cool in your AC or anything like that. You do want it to be a little bit of an elevated temperature. And it's funny, we're having a really cool last piece of summer, but in here, I've got this thermometer that we use. As of right now, this is my thermometer. It's 80 degrees in here, which is about right. You want it just a little bit elevated, and we want a little bit of humidity as well. And so being in North Carolina, coastal North Carolina that is, we have the humidity, we have the heat, and in the afternoon, the sun actually beats on this door and it will really heat up this garage. And it really works well for that. Because we also, one other thing we do is we keep this fan right here running, and it's just always pushing air, keeping it circulating. I could put it on the potatoes, but either way, like if I stand over here, because it's such dead air in here, I can feel the wind push around as it hits, and it just creates a breeze around here, which keeps the air flowing around the potatoes. So why do we want to cure our potatoes? I mean, we harvested these a couple days ago. Could you just cook these? Absolutely, you could, but they're not going to be as sweet and as moist. The curing process actually brings out the sugar in the potatoes, and you want to do this. So what I'll do is I'll leave them out here probably once a week. All I'll do is just roll them over and just keep them curing. And I'll do it for about 2 to 3 weeks and just keep them curing. And then after that, we'll store them. And so what that does too is it gives me an opportunity. Let's see, where was that one potato I showed you? That, remember, I was grabbing a potato and I was like, look, you don't want to do this because you'll cause damage to the potato and this will be a rotting point. So that potato is somewhere around here. Here it is. Nope, but this will work. So you can see right here, we've got this potato. See that? And it just allows us to keep an eye on it to see if anything's going to, if there's going to be any rot or anything like that. Because once you finish doing this, then you can stack them and store them. But let's say you don't have an area like this, you don't have a garage, then what else can you do? We just want to meet all the criteria. So we want the heat, we don't want to be messing with them, which is why I have this table tucked away. We're not really doing anything right now. This is where I keep most of my harvesting equipment. So if I don't, I don't need anything right now. By the time I do, I can get this table out of here. We don't want to bump it. We want it to be warm. We want to create airflow. In order to meet all that criteria, you need to get a little creative. Some people will use a shed. I don't use a shed because little critters get in there and stuff, and the last thing I want is something to be nibbling on my sweet potatoes. You could use, I could use the greenhouse, but it gets a little too warm in there. So, you could use stuff like that. And to be totally honest, if I had a vented rack, and I had this sheet of 1/2 inch hardware cloth. So, if you made like a shelf and put this on there, that would be optimal. You wouldn't have to rotate them because the air could just flow all the way around it. I haven't had any issues with that. But if you don't have anything like that, then we need to start thinking about other ways to do this. And one of the best places to do it is in a bathroom. This is the part where our significant others get sick and tired of what we do. But if you do it in the bathroom, you can, you can create a microclimate in there. For instance, when I have to, bring the humidity level down in my honey, I'll put all the boxes in there with all the frames in it, and I'll set a dehydrator in there, and I can create that, take that small room, it's naturally small, it's just got a toilet in it, in a bathtub, typically, and then I can dry that air. Well, this is kind of the opposite. We want to warm it, so, if you're doing it now and it's still warm outside, great. You can run like a little space heater in there, just, especially one with a thermostat, and it can kick on and off. And it'll just kind of raise the temperature a little bit, especially if you keep it cool in your house. But the other thing you do is if you want the humidity in there, simply enough, all you got to do is just go take a shower and then have a hot shower, and that'll create a little bit of humidity, and then it'll just kind of come down. If it gets too high, you can always turn on the poop sucker in the ceiling, and then that'll get all the humidity out. So you can do stuff like that. If you're running your AC a lot, your air in your house is probably a little bit dry, so it'll help with that. But you don't want it to be like super moist. So I wouldn't say like, hey, if there's a family of 4, everybody go in there and take a shower. And I would highly recommend, if you have a spare bathroom, that's the one you use, because that's going to make it, just out of your way, because you can leave them curing for quite a while. The other thing that really helps these is keeping them out of the direct sun. So in the afternoon, we'll shut our door, and when the sun would be beating in, but in the morning we'll open it and let the fresh air in, stuff like that. So we'll do that in here, but it's just do the best you can with what you've got. That's the part of this, all of this, that's so important, is like, you don't have to go rush out and build like a curing house or anything crazy like that, or buy a shelf or something. I mean, you can get creative. A lot of times what you can do, I've got I use these wire shelves here, which I'm going to be taking down soon, but we use these to store stuff. You can get these on like Facebook Marketplace and stuff basically for free, and you could just lay it on the ground and lay your potatoes on it. You know what I mean? Like in your bathroom or something, and it's all good. Cardboard's really good to do as well. If you lay it on cardboard, because that will kind of wick the moisture away from it, as well as it kind of leaches out of the potatoes. It's not like it's going to cause puddles or anything, but it just kind of helps pull that moisture out of there. And I know it's counterintuitive about like, you need a little bit of humidity, but you're trying to get the moisture out, and it's really not that big a deal. I mean, even if you put it in your bathroom and you just shut the door, put a little fan in there to keep the air circulating, you'll be fine. You're curing your potato. What you're really doing is you're getting it prepared for harvest and bringing the sugar, or for storage, and bringing the sugars out of it. So now that we are on the subject of storage, I've done a video in the past about it, and I've done a video about this as well, but I know people don't like to go back, and I totally get it. So what we do is we'll get like a nice, compact cardboard box or whatever, and we'll loosely put them in there. They don't have to be laid out or anything like that. A lot of people will say, hey, you've got to have your potatoes spaced out, they can never be touching. If you cure them right, we absolutely don't do that. We just put them in a cardboard box, and then we store them somewhere cool. Like we have a pantry, we'll put them in the bottom of the pantry. We used to put them in our spare bedroom under the bed, where it was real cool, little traffic, no real issues. But the problem was that it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. And believe it or not, we would actually forget that we had sweet potatoes. So we've stopped doing that since. But like I said, a lot of people will say you need to have them all spaced out and all that. We kept them in a cardboard box last year, and it wasn't even an ideal cardboard box. But we kept them in there, and we ate potatoes for 11 months. They stayed stored for 11 months from the date of harvest. So we cured them. I think I went a little long last year for a month. So it's 10 months in storage, stacked on top of each other. And the only thing that we lost, and the only reason why we lost the potato, is from damage to the potato. So you'll get stuff, you'll get, I don't know if you can see, little holes in them, stuff like that. I saw another one somewhere on here. You might have to just take my word for it. I'm not going to flip every one of them up. But some of them actually had little holes in them, and that will cause damage. So what's that look like? So you see this right here? That's a rotting point. So all you want to do, all you want to do is just single this potato out and say, hey, we're going to eat this one first. I mean, it's really that simple. It's not rocket science. If it came down to it and you left this in your storage for, you know, 6, 7, 8, 10 months, something like that, it's not going to look like this. One, it'll get all mushy and like absolutely disgusting. Two, it'll just, that little damaged spot will grow and grow. And then I have these left over from last year. This is what it'll end up looking like. So these were ones I was going to use for seed and never got around to it. And just, I left them in the garage. So to put that in perspective, we're now 12 months, 11 months from the curing date, which is when this was done curing and harvested. And I left it out here in the garage for the, you know, that whole time. And the other ones, I don't have any because I ate them all, but they all look like this. So you can see the difference if you cure them and then store them correctly. So just store them somewhere cool. Don't drop them, nothing crazy like that. But once they're cured, that damage that you saw in the last one where my finger brushed up on it, that's no longer an issue. And to be honest, at this point, it's no longer an issue. These potatoes are starting to dry and they're getting right there at it. So, you know, you take all of these steps and you have the best preservation method, in my opinion, which is simply curing. Once we're done, they last. I don't have to do anything else. All I had to do was get a table and set it out. So I'll try and get one and put it in one of the links below for you if you're curious on getting one. And obviously it'll help support the channel a little bit, which is greatly appreciated to keep this show on the road. But that foldable table has saved me. I cure garlic on it. I cure onions on it, white potatoes, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, Seminole pumpkins, butternut squash when we grow them. We use it for all of that stuff. And generally what we do is we just set it out in the corner and just let it go. And right now, it's kind of convenient that it's curing season because the temperatures are cooling and it's not super crazy hot. And the humidity is still a little bit elevated, which is just perfect for all of this. So I hope you guys are doing good, curing your stuff. You got a good harvest. Let us know how you did in the comments below. And if you cure in a different way, let us know. And if you don't even cure, comment on that and how those sweet potatoes taste. I've done it and I don't really like it, but in a pinch, you can always eat them.